All right, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Obviously, recap our game from Saturday. Kind of like I said after the game, really proud of our effort of our football team in all three phases to go out and play a really tough opponent on the road. It's never easy to go play your first road football game, anyways, and not alone to go do that and play in the SEC and play really, really well. And so, obviously a big moment for our program, for our season, and really like one of the better wins in the history of our program, in my opinion. So. Hats off to our players for doing a great job of handling the environment, handling the responsibilities that comes along with preparing to play a championship-type football game. Our MVPs for the game Saturday were Tucker Gleason, the quarterback. I thought he was excellent, great efficiency to start the game. Stood in there in some tough moments, made some hard throws, made and created some plays with his legs, and really, sparked our team to make sure that we stayed ahead of the sticks. And I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, that provided the offensive efficiency that we were able to create. Dan Bolden on defense I thought was infectious all day long with his attitude, energy, and effort, and made a ton of plays. The sack where he kind of got cut by the running back and crawled in there and grabbed the guy by the legs, and just a bunch of highlight-type plays like that out of him, and very consistent play at the start of the season from him. And then our freshman kicker, Dylan Cunanan, steps up in the big moments and knocks a couple kicks home, and really tough to do as a true freshman. So those guys kind of highlighted, what we thought were some really good individual performances. Many other guys I thought did a really, really good job, and a lot of bright spots throughout the course of that game. So now the transition to Western Kentucky and how we build off of last week and try to seize this momentum and put it and channel it into the right direction in a positive way to play this game Saturday, because it's a really good team we're playing. So can we be consistent enough to have the confidence to go play well on Saturdays, because we're kind of humble enough to do a really good job preparing through the week, and I think that's what our challenge is right now, and great opportunity for our team this weekend.
Jason, it's always tough to follow these big wins, great performances, whatever. Do you think it almost helps that you are playing another good team and you're going on the road again?
Yeah, I think all you got to do is turn the tape on and watch these guys for a couple plays, and they'll have your attention. So I think our guys understand what this is. We know they got really good players. It's it's really good schematically as well on both sides of the football. They've been doing it at a high level there for a long time, and we got to go to their place and win there. So, I think ultimately at the end of the day, there's still some challenges here that we have to fix internally too, and some things that we want to correct here and continue to grow and continue to get better ourselves. So, you could have. You saw this when this game was scheduled a long time ago. This is going to be a great challenge for us.
How do you counter the emotional letdown that's kind of natural for anyone to have following Saturday?
Trust your team. And we've been in scenarios and situations through the off season that naturally show up, that create adverse times, or some of them that are manufactured within the walls of this building, to put these guys in a situation to know that yesterday's home runs don't win today's game. So you got to continue to get better. You got to continue to work hard to perfect your process. There's still somebody in the bottom half of the second group or the third group or maybe even the fourth group of players in our locker room here that are going to have somebody in that group is going to have a moment here in one of these games coming up, maybe this weekend. So, we've got to continue to, work on us and continue to get better individually. And, if everybody can, embrace that, we'll collectively get better as a team.
From that perspective, just with the consistency and leadership, do you trust this year's team and last year's team too as much as you've had in your time here?
Well, I think that, the players vote on the captains, and, they've got 5 great representations of what longevity, consistency, and doing the right thing looks like. And, and the guys, the seniors last year, and the seniors the year before that in 22, they've left a lasting impact on some really key players here of a good example of what it's supposed to look like and how you're supposed to do it. And many of those guys that I'm talking about went on to have a lot of individual success. And while they were here, we had a tremendous amount of team success. So, you're striving to create, or I'm striving to create a great program, not just have great seasons. And as long as we can continue to have the carryover into the examples of what it should be and how it should work at a high level, you trust that in moments like this, those things will show up.
Is this the type of week, you mentioned the captains. Obviously, coaches are always telling their players, great team, going to be a tough week, whatever. Is this the type of week where a captain can really make an impact on teammates?
Yeah, not just captain. They're good players that are worked really hard for these times. Their sphere of influence now is this is when it shows up. It's easy to rally and lead. To me, it's easy to rally and lead in the front when things aren't going your way. Man, can you stay consistent when everybody, you guys are telling us how great we were. Like that part of it. Like, can you stay inside out rather than focus on everything outside in? And to win that football game Saturday night, we had to be inside out thinking. It couldn't be everybody's looking around to see what's up. So that message doesn't start Monday of Western Kentucky or 5 p.m. before kickoff of Mississippi State. That starts back in January. So we're very trustworthy in our process, and we're staying true to that.
Going back to Saturday, in terms of that first half, and that was impressive what you guys put together. I mean, is that, when you look at the film, what further sticks out about just the efficiency and execution you guys put together?
Well, just how complimentary it was in all three phases. We didn't make catastrophic mistakes in the kicking game. We didn't, you can play them even in a kicking game, and if you win on both sides of the football, it's going to be a one-sided game. I thought early on being able to get them into third and long scenarios was very critical for our defense to do that. I thought offensively it was very critical that we stayed ahead of the sticks and were able to convert, hard conversion downs, whether it be third down or whether it be fourth down. And I thought there was going to be some times where guys had to step up and make some plays. I mean, our corners were on an island most of the day. I mean, there's some times where, that creates a little anxiety. They got to sit there and tackle the guy in front of them consistently, make the other team drive the football. There's going to be some times where the quarterback had to put some tough throws in there, and receivers are going to have to make tough contested catches. That's in order to win those type of games. You have to be able to make those type of plays. But I think the thing that I'm probably most proud of is just the physicality we played with in all three phases, and kind of at times I thought that we're moving the pile, we're pushing people forward, and on offense, and we're moving the line of scrimmage back on defense for a good amount of that football game. So if you get good line play on both sides of the ball, it makes life a lot easier for everybody else.
To piggyback off that, the front seven on defense obviously causing a lot of havoc up front for their offense. Just kind of your impression on what they were able to do, not only last week but for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think we played 10 guys too. I think 10 guys played 10 or more snaps on the defensive front. So, that's been going on for quite a while here. You know what I mean? And I think you have there's an understanding there that you can't go in there and not pull your weight. So, I think those guys are prideful in what they do. They are, a group that is, to me, just scratching the surface on what they can be. So I'm excited about what it looks like with those guys moving forward for sure.
You touched on Dylan in the opening statement, but just for him, like you mentioned, to come into this role kind of unexpectedly, just kind of your impression on kind of him jumping into that.
Well, I mean, really hard, obviously, right? You're a true freshman. You're at a program that expectations are high. There's not a lot of leeway if you screw up, and you play a high-pressure position that everybody knows if you screw it up or not, right? And, obviously not the start to the season that he probably wanted. And, but I go back to preseason camp. I mean, that guy was phenomenal. And you can ask the players. I mean, there's moments in practice and 2-minute drills where he just steps up and nails a couple kicks that are like, man, like what just happened? Eye-opening things. So to not have the start that he wanted and being able to see the response the last couple of weeks and to do that in that environment, really proud of that kid and really, a good moment for him to understand that just to stay in the ring and keep swinging.
Taking care of business after your first road test, especially one like that, how much confidence does that build for next week and more road games and beyond? Yeah,
I mean, confidence, right? And I think, it builds it. But, again, it's like I said, you have to have enough humility to make sure that the process throughout the course of the week is really strong, or you just get beat. I mean, that's just college football. And I don't – there's thousands of examples each and every weekend that we could refer to, but you got to do a good job of continuing the progression. We're not even a third of the way through the season yet. We're in the infancy stages of what this is. So there's a long way to go. There's a lot of football to play. There's a lot of developing that a lot of young players have to get done between now and the end of the year, and just enjoying that journey.
I did want to ask about the cowbell after the game. Is that something you grabbed afterward, or did you have that in your back pocket? Or
one thing I do not own is a cowbell. So somebody handed that to me, and like everything today in today's world, everything needs a picture, I guess.
Did you keep that as a souvenir?
I did not. I gave it back to the person that handed it to me.
You mentioned Western Kentucky, obviously electric quarterback, electric offense. Just kind of your thoughts on
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I mean, they have a chance to create explosive plays in the passing game, and they've done that for a long time, and they've really relied on that. Good scheme, very well coached, offensive unit, very rhythmic in their play, in the running game and in the passing game. And I think they do a good job of trying to create complementary football to who they want to be, right? They want to create havoc on defense. They want to sack the quarterback. They want to create fumbles and turnovers and interceptions, and they want to have big plays on offense. So that's the kind of the MO of the program, and they do it with great consistency. So, and that's led to year after year after year after year to being in bowl games and competing and winning championships.
How big? 3 games into the season, I understand that, but Saturday's game, like how big of an impact do you think that can have on, just being in the national spotlight that you are, your team of the week and all that stuff, like recruiting, but also just like the university at large, like is it important to kind of seize the momentum and capitalize on this right now?
Yeah, I think days like Saturday don't happen, often, and I'm careful what I say to even our team. Like I don't want them to feel like what they did on Saturday wasn't a major deal, because it is. And I don't want them to feel like they shouldn't feel great about doing something in the history of our program that has only been done a couple times. That's a massive thing. But where we're trying to go and what we've said for ourselves and what we want to do, our best moments of Rockets they have not happened yet from what we want to get done. So with that being said, like we got to buy into the things that matter and the things that will allow us to do that. And the only way to do that is the continuous improvement. And the only way to have continuous improvement is if you're really, really good at what you do each and every day when there's not a game. And I think that one thing that our players understand is that. And anything that severs that process or anything that interferes with that, like we're kidding ourselves if we got to reset our goals, and I'm not into that at this point in time of the year. So we want big things. We got to behave the right way, and we got to act the right way, and we got to really embrace it and let the other stuff, the impact of what we're able to do on the field, let that impact and let that handle itself, because we can't control that. So all we can do is go play really, really well for 60 minutes, and then after that, everything else that goes along with that, we'll roll with it, and we love it, but we got to do what we got to do.
When you have a start like that or a performance like that, is that something that you kind of sense throughout the week during preparation, or was it simply based execution on Saturday?
It's always about execution, right? And, there's just a different mentality in the sense of you're playing someplace new that you've never been. You're playing coaches that you never played against. You're playing players that your players are not familiar with. So, the mentality of it and the, kind of, you're going to get some specific things. Some things are going to be a little bit different throughout the course of the game. Life is going to change in the blink of an eye throughout the course of that football game, and you got to respond to it. So you can only really pour information and pour time and energy into, what a good response will be if it doesn't go my way from an emotional standpoint, and then prepare like crazy for what it looks like as it pertains to the X's and O's, and do a good job that way.
Well, how impressed were you with, Grant Zimmerly, first career start? It's in a tough environment, good team, to play the level he played.
I told our team today, like, that's what sports is all about. Grant played center in the spring game for one of the teams and snapped the ball over the quarterback's head like 6 times. There's tears of sadness after that. And to playing 78 snaps in a game and playing really, really well in your first career start, to tears of joy. That's the beauty of sports. That's what we love about this game. That's what we love about, that's why this game is the best example of what it should look like in our lives. Like, we have tough moments, and how are we going to respond to that? Like, it doesn't, whether you're in my position, a young football player's position, or any other profession in the entire world, like, you don't wake up each and every day and it goes how you have it planned, and you have to have the response to that to be really, really good. And sometimes, and most times, what young people don't understand is the reward for having the correct response is not immediate. And we and that young man in this particular instance totally embraces that. And yeah, his mind, he was going to work really, really hard, go through camp and do a really good job and be a starter and come out of this thing, and it was all going to be good. That didn't happen, right? But he got his moment on Saturday night, seized his moment, and really proud that he was able to do that because he had a great process through the entire thing.